say this is my favorite drug, and they get that that's a drug too. I also have found that, of course, we know this in our strategy with marijuana reform, is that when you equate marijuana policy with alcohol, people recognize that there are similarities between the two. I mean, they don't often know how much more dangerous alcohol is than marijuana, but I try to use the word prohibition whenever I can. Get people to see that this prohibition, marijuana prohibition, is the same as alcohol prohibition. Everybody knows that alcohol prohibition didn't work. That's a mantra. Oh yeah, that didn't work. Okay, this is a prohibition too. It's not working either. Another thing I've been using lately is that I keep hearing, I was talking to Keith about this last night and several other people. I'm so discouraged about the potency debate, which is not a debate out there in conventional America. They think, we believe the government's rhetoric that this marijuana is 1,000,000 times more potent. All right, 30 times more potent, whatever. And so even people who are now in their 40s and 50s who use marijuana, conventional people, think that this is a qualitatively different drug. So we're not even arguing over marijuana anymore. They think it's a dangerous and scary kind of substance that they have no familiarity with. So I ask them, and this is usually in PTA groups, so they tell me this, well, what about potency? And I say, well, how do you know that? How do you know that marijuana is more potent? I say, well, I heard it I saw it on an ad. I say, what kind of ad do you think it was? Well, the government, the Office of National Drug Control Policy. I said, so that came out of the government. The government is the way that you know that this marijuana is a different substance. And they go, well, yeah. And I say, really? And you also believe that there actually were weapons of mass destruction now, do you? Wait a minute. Ooh, the government. I've also found it useful in drug education, marijuana education, to draw parallels between this kind of education and sexuality education. I find that the word comprehensive education is much better even than abstinence plus kind of education, and that seems to be seems to work. Also, I agree with people who say, and I'm usually the first to say it actually, that it would be better if adolescents would abstain from experimentation with alcohol, marijuana, and other drugs, because I do believe that. So you can agree, we agree, abstinence would be best. But then, I insist, whoever I'm talking to, whether it's Bill O'Reilly who couldn't answer this one either, okay, so we all agree abstinence would be best. But what if the kids refuse to be out? What if they don't listen? They don't always listen. And I want to know, what is your fallback strategy if they don't just say no? What's the fallback strategy? What is your plan B? And of course, they have no plan B because they're so invested in saying no, 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 that they don't have another set of admonitions for the kids. So they can't answer that one. And finally, I find that speaking from the heart has been really rewarding and useful for me. I use I a lot more than I ever did when I was an academic, and much to the chagrin of my children, I use them as examples all the time. And it has been, when I'm talking to audiences of parents who also have kids who, like my kids, didn't always do everything they told them to do when they told them to do it. These these parents, mostly women in the PTA, get it, and that's how we got into the PTA. It's that their kids weren't perfect, they wanted a fallback strategy, and they weren't finding it anywhere else. So those are some experiences. I just want to tell you, though, that in terms of how the other side uses the rhetoric, that works for us. 10 years ago, I don't think they really noticed us. I think that's why Proposition 215 passed in the form it passed in, and by the margin that it passed at. They're watching us now. They are watching us now. They're probably in this room right now. They're probably and I'm not a paranoid person by nature. I'm really not. Some people think I'm too trusting, but I know they're there. What they've done, I know you're there, is that they see what resonates for us, and then they take that rhetoric and they use it. I'll give you an example. Random student drug testing, which is the new push of the federal government, which is the scariest thing of all, I think. They're marching forward on this, and school districts and parents are lapping this stuff up. Let me tell you, if it weren't for our movement and us holding this thing back a little bit, providing some kind of rhetoric for opposing random student drug testing, I worry that they'd be testing all our kids, and the next thing in line after they test the kids is us for driver's licenses. It's a slippery slope, I think. But anyway, now when you look at their rhetoric on random student drug testing, it's not about punishment. No. We want to help the kids. We want to provide them with a way to say no, because we know they all want to, and their peer pressure is so strong. So they take our rhetoric about talking and relationships and parents and kids, and they twist it. But mostly what they do is they attack and they twist our language, and they use it to discredit us. I'll just give you a couple of examples, and I wish I had this, but I don't, because Clint Werner just provided me with the May issue of May 2006. This is National Geographic, okay? And I'm sorry you can't see this, but you can see maybe that this is a green page with a marijuana leaf, okay? And the first thing you see is this word yes, and you're going, wait a minute, National Geographic here. But what it says is, if you're not telling them no, you're telling them yes. And this is the parents, the anti-drug. So this is the Office of National Drug Control, basically saying, you guys who are saying, well, just say K-N-O-W, you're not saying no, so you must be saying yes. So they do that. Couple of other examples. The Scientologists, I'm so grateful to see that it was them this time, posted a thing on some website. You can't tell what they are. Somebody else had to tell me, who are these people? It said, it had a whole article about safety first, and it said, drug education or educating druggies. So you may remember the term druggies from the Supreme Court case. Also, in terms of things that were not a good idea for me, last year at this conference we talked about this book, It's Just a Plant. And what happened was, it's a book for parents of young children who they're still getting read to, and they get caught smoking marijuana, and how do they tell their kids about what this thing really is? That's what this book is about. And the guy who is the artist and the author of it asked me if I would make a statement about it, which I love the book. And in a moment of being emboldened, I don't remember why I was so emboldened that particular week, I said, yes, I'm going to stand on